Hello everyone, so I thought I'd bring you guys along with me to read some of my anticipated reads for the year. I think by the time you're seeing this video I already would have posted my 2026 TBR, which is just a list of books that I am prioritising reading in 2026. And so I wanted to bring you guys along with me for a little reading vlog. And the first book is a book that I have been waiting to read for probably about a year now. I did put it on my 2025 book bingo. I did start it in 2025. I started it right at the end of December, but I just did not have enough time to read it before the year ended. So I put it on this year's book bingo, and that is Beartown by Frederick Backman. So I do have the physical copy, obviously, as you can see, but I am mainly reading it on my Kindle just because it's easier for me, and also I can listen to it that way. So on my Kindle I'm 46% through. I'm not really sure where it lines up because I tried to move my bookmark to the page that I was at, but it was just not aligning. So yeah, I have been really excited for this book for a long time. I'm enjoying it so far. I do think it's taken a little while to get to the inciting incident. I'm enjoying it so far, but like I said, I do feel like it's taken a little while to get to the action. Yeah, so I'm about page 230 in the physical copy, and I'm very intrigued right now. I think it takes a little bit more brain power to read through it because you're following so many different people, and it is also in third person, which definitely takes me more brain power to read. But the difference between any other third person book that I've read and this one is that this one follows quite a few different characters, like 9 characters, and then it kind of loops around back to someone that you've met and then continues where you left off the last time you were reading about them. I'll read the first page of the book because when I opened it on Christmas morning, I read the first page and I was like, okay, I'm gonna have to read this book next, but I'll read it out now. Late one evening towards the end of March, a teenager picked up a double-barreled shotgun, walked into the forest, put the gun to someone else's forehead and pulled the trigger. This is the story of how we got there. So if that doesn't intrigue you, I don't know what will. I will say that if you're thinking about reading this book, if you have any triggers, search up the trigger warnings for it, because it does talk about something very, very traumatic, or even if there's just certain things you don't want to read about. I'll see you guys when I've got an update for this. This was such a highly anticipated book for me and I did enjoy it. I was expecting it to be a 5-star read, and honestly it wasn't for me. I do think that it was just a little bit slow for my liking, and I also do struggle a bit with stories written in the third person, and because this follows so many characters, I did just struggle with that a little bit. However, usually that is when I will stop reading a book, but I really wanted to read this and complete it because, like I said, it was quite an anticipated read for me, and I'm really glad I carried on. I definitely want to continue this series. This is the first book in a trilogy, so I definitely want to continue the series. So I would say if you also struggle with reading third person, I wouldn't let it put you off this. This book basically just follows the residents of a town called Beartown. Beartown is a town in a Swedish forest, and they all just absolutely love hockey. Like, the whole town is obsessed with hockey, and the junior hockey team, I believe it is. Now, I thought junior meant in the UK we have junior schools which go up to the age of 11, so you have nursery, infant school, then junior school. I thought that meant that these players would be up to around 11, but they're not. They're more, I think it's like between 16 and 18, I think, actually. Either way, they're not adults yet, and there are some characters that I really liked in this, and there were some that I really didn't like, and even the ones that I didn't like, I still found myself feeling bad for them, because you really get to understand their character and their life and their backstory. Like, there's just so much thought that's been put into this book. I really enjoyed this, but it is quite a heavy book, so just bear that in mind. And then the next book I'm going to be talking about, it is also by another author. I haven't read Frederick Backman before, and this author I also haven't read, but both authors have been on my list to read for quite a while, and that is The Academy by Elin Hilderbrand and her daughter Shelby Cunningham. I am enjoying this so far. Let's see, I'm on page 107, which is 29. Oh my god, my Kindle's gonna die. I'm gonna have to take my phone off of charge because this is gonna die and I want to read after I finish filming this video. Yeah, I have wanted to read this since it came out. Like I said, I haven't read any books by Elin Hilderbrand yet. However, she's been on my list for quite a while. So yeah, I'm enjoying it. I'm intrigued. I'm a bit confused as to where this is gonna go, but I am enjoying the setting and kind of just like everything else that's going on. So I'm gonna leave it there for my little like reading update, and I'll let you guys know how I'm getting on. I have basically decided which book I'm going to read next. I'm pretty sure I'm going to go for Warrior Princess Assassin because one, it is, I'll show you guys, it is sitting there at the top of my book pile staring at me all the time. It is such a beautiful cover. I unboxed it in my December diary. I want to read that next because I'm starting to see more and more people talking about it, and so I think I just gotta go for it next. So far I'm enjoying The Academy. I'm kind of predicting it will be around a 4-star so far, and it's basically, I can't even say because my Kindle did fall on the floor when I plugged it in, but it is following this girl called Charlie who moves to a very, I think it's quite an elite boarding school. It's very fancy. I don't really know how else to explain it. When I have like the next clip, or when I finish the book, I'll talk a bit more about what it's about. But yeah, I'm thinking it's probably going to be about 4 stars. I am, like I said, I'm enjoying it, but I'm not hooked. I'm not loving it. But I also think that this evening I'm going to set aside a bit more time to just get on with reading it, and then hopefully I will be more intrigued and enjoying it. So yeah, I will see you guys whenever I have updates to share. I finished it last night and I will say I'm very intrigued. I am a bit on the fence with, I don't know what to rate this book. I'm leaning towards like a 3.5, 3.75. I think my rating is largely going to depend on if this book is the first in a series or not, because I feel like there were some things that were set up in this book, but like there's not really been an end to them, and it just feels like if that was the end, that it's not a series, it feels a little bit anticlimactic to me. But let's check if it's a series now, because if it is, it makes perfect sense and I will rate it higher because, like I said, they're setting up things for future books. Yeah, okay. Okay. Right, so we do have a title announced for the second book, published the 1st of September this year. Okay. Oh, I'm excited. I think I'm going to rate this a 4 stars. I'm going to go ahead and lock that in on Goodreads because I feel like it was set up. It was setting up quite well, and there were something else in the book. I can't talk about it because it would be a spoiler, but there was something else in the book that I feel like it was the end of it too quickly. I feel like as a series it could have gone on a little bit longer, but I don't know, maybe we'll hear more about it in the next book. I don't know whether it's going to be like 2 books or whether it's going to be a lot more than that. I'm not sure. But anyway, so yeah, I am quite happy with that. Like I said, I feel like there were some things left unfinished and there was a lot more where the story could go, but it kind of just ended. But because it's a series, that makes complete sense, whereas if that was a standalone, it wouldn't make sense to me. So I'm very excited for that. Shame it doesn't come out for another 8 months. But because I finished that, I went back to reading Mile High. I started this, I think it was a few days after Christmas, or no, I think it was a few days before Christmas I started it, and I got really quite intrigued, and then I really wanted to read Beartown, which I got for Christmas, and so I read that, and then I wanted to read The Academy, and it just wasn't a priority. Last night I was like, I wasn't sleepy enough to go to sleep, so I was like, I'm just going to keep reading for a bit. And I pretty much always read on my Kindle before I go to bed, just because that is the easiest thing for me to do, like in a time where I'm like actively trying to get sleepy. So I was like, you know what, we'll go back to Mile High. I was immediately enjoying it when I first started it, and then I kind of just didn't really care that much. And then I read a few pages last night, but then I was ready to sleep, so I went to sleep. And then today I've listened to Mile High. I am now really enjoying it. I then read whilst I was eating my dinner as well, so yeah, I am enjoying it again. And I don't know, so far I don't know why people, so I see a lot of people say like about skipping the first book in this series, and this series is so raved about, but honestly I am enjoying it again now. I think I just needed to get back into it. But like I said, I usually read on my Kindle before I go to bed, but this book I have been thinking about reading for so long, and the other day I was listening to The Academy. It said I had an hour and 20 minutes left in the book, so I was like, okay, perfect, I could finish that today. And then I loaded it up on my Kindle and it said I had 2 hours and 25 minutes left. I was like, we're not finishing that today. But as soon as I had thought that I was going to be finishing it, I was like, okay, we're definitely going to start this next book tomorrow. And I was so excited, and then I haven't finished it until today. So this book I've been waiting to pick up, honestly, since I bought it, but especially the last week or so, and that is Warrior Princess Assassin. I cannot get over how beautiful this book is. This is genuinely the most beautiful book that I own, and I have quite a few nice special editions and just beautiful books, like normal edition books. Yeah, I can't get over this, honestly. Can't get over it. But I'm gonna start this tonight, and this is about a warrior, a princess, and an assassin. So yeah, I think I'm going to have to read it without the dust jacket, and this is what that looks like, which again is just beautiful. I'm gonna see how many pages it is. Okay, so the acknowledgements on page 388. 300, so it's about 385 pages. I'm gonna start reading earlier tonight so that I can read this before I need to like lay down, because then it would be quite hard to read. Literally all day, all I could think about was starting that book. This is definitely the book that I'm probably the most excited to read this year, and I've got some really exciting reads coming up. That is kind of my plan for the evening, and I will see you guys whenever I see you. feel like this is going to be one of my favourite books of the year. It definitely feels like it's going to be very highly rated, maybe even 5 stars. I'm literally 30 pages in and all I want to do is read this book. Like, so far I just want to stay up and read this, but I have to go to sleep. I'm gonna have to put this down and I'm not happy about it. I already am so like intrigued by Asher. So Asher is the assassin, and so far I've met the princess and the assassin. The next chapter is the warriors chapter. I'm very excited like to meet him, and I'm very interested to see where this is going. So yeah, I will definitely be reading some more tomorrow. Hello everyone, I have got a reading update. As you can see, I've got this much left. So I have made a lot of progress with the book since you last saw me, and honestly most of that progress has been sort of like within the last few days. I feel like I'm not necessarily in a reading slump, but I just haven't been reading much, and I think it's a combination of reasons, but I said to myself I need to finish this week, and preferably Mile High as well, which I'm reading on my Kindle at the moment, and I've kind of been going between the two, and that is definitely one reason why it's taken me longer to read each book, because I've got 2 going at the same time. And I always feel like I like having a Kindle book at the same time as a physical book, just because I can't always read a physical book, and also just like mood reading. Obviously I want to read what I'm in the mood to read, especially like I don't read a ton of like romanticies, but this is a romantasy, and so having something that is a lot easier to digest, like the contemporary romance that I'm reading at the moment, or sports romance I suppose you could say it is, it's nice to just have something that is easy, and obviously it's like in a world that is very realistic. I don't know what that is. That is the reflection of the lamp in the camera on my glasses. So I'm sorry, that is really annoying for me to look at. It's probably really annoying for you guys to see too, but I need a lamp and I need my glasses, so you know. Anyway, yeah, I feel like it's just taken me so long to get through these books, and like I said, I think it's a combination of things. I don't think it's purely just down to the books I'm reading. I think part of it is just everything that I've got going on at the moment and all of that stuff. I think that is probably more the reason, but I wanted to finish up this reading video today so I can start editing and get it like uploaded and ready for you guys to see. I think my next like vlog will probably be me trying to get, I'd say, just kind of like in love with reading again. I'm just not finding myself wanting to pick up a book as much, which is sad for me, but I just think, like I said, I'm just not in a massive reading era right now, and I honestly wouldn't say I have been since, I'd say like before Christmas. But I've got loads of books that I'm very excited to read, but one thing that has got me excited again is I think I can finish this tonight. So you can see like how much is left. I said to Owen, I was like, I reckon I've probably got about 40 pages left. Can you have a look and tell me like how many pages there is, because I don't like to look at the end of the thing. So he looked, and I had either like 42 or 40 pages left of the book, so I was really close. I'm going to read, and I'm hoping I can finish the book. It will take me a little while to get through it, and honestly if I don't finish it tonight then I probably won't have that much left to read tomorrow, so I will be finishing it tomorrow. But Oh, I'm so tired. But yeah, also, I realised I've got the Fairy Loot edition and I've taken the dust jacket off whilst I'm reading it because that is just going to annoy me. And this whole time I've been looking thinking, oh, that's a really nice sword. And then those are the assassin's like blades. So you've got the assassin's blades and the warrior's sword. What about the princess? And then today I realised the gold bit is the hairpin. I don't know why it took me so long to realise that, because I was thinking, although technically I'd say all three of them are the main characters, she's the main character, so why does she not have a thing? And obviously that was just me not looking at it properly. I just honestly just thought it was part of the sword, to be honest. I'm gonna try and finish this book tonight. I'm thinking it's gonna be 4 stars. I was thinking when I started it, it might be a 5-star, and I honestly don't think it is a 5-star, and I don't think that's all necessarily the book's fault. The thing is I thought this was gonna be more about, I don't know if this is a spoiler or not, and like I don't have the blurb here to kind of like figure that out, but I thought one thing was gonna happen and it was gonna focus on that one thing, and I don't think that thing's even gonna happen in this book. And I picked up this book a couple times over the last couple days and I have been like getting slowly more interested in it, but I haven't been like, oh my god, like I can't wait to pick it up. But now, like I said, I had to put my book down earlier and I just have been thinking most of the time I need to pick it up, I just need to finish it now. So yeah, like I said, hopefully it'll be done tonight. Guys, I literally just this second finished Warrior Princess Assassin. I think it might be a 5-star. I know I said I wasn't expecting it to be a 5-star in my last update, but I think it might be. I'm getting that 5-star feeling, even though, and I know, like, it doesn't make sense to rate something 5 stars if there's things I didn't like about it. But I also think that I just had the wrong expectation. And oh my god, it makes so much sense why there's another book. I need it now. I don't think it comes out till a lot later this year. I need it now. Okay, so I am looking on Goodreads. First of all, I did not know that this series was called Braided Fate. I didn't even know it was going to be a series. I clearly did not pay enough attention. Book 2 is called Captive Traitor King. This does not come out till November. The 5th of November, 2026. How am I supposed to wait till then? Obviously because, you know, I don't have a choice. That is how. I need it now. That's all I can say. Hi everyone. So I am going to wrap up the last 2 books that I was talking about. I can't seem to actually find footage. I thought I'd done this already, but I can't find footage of it, so apparently I haven't. So I pretty much have rounded up Beartown and the Academy, so I'm just going to talk about Mile High and Warrior Princess Assassin. So I didn't finish Mile High whilst I was filming this reading vlog. I did then film a trying to get out of a reading slump vlog, which will be up. It'll be the next vlog after this one, so I think it will be not the next video after this, but the one after that. I'm talking too fast and getting out of breath. But I then continue reading it in that video, so I'm not gonna finish talking about it here. So I will let you guys find out my final thoughts on that in that video. And I haven't, usually when I'm filming a wrap up, I write down my final thoughts, my ratings and everything on the book, but I'm on a bit of a time crunch, hence why I'm trying to talk too fast. I know I can't talk this fast and like keep up with it, so I need to slow down a little bit. But I rated Warrior Princess Assassin 5 stars. I need this book. I need the second book in the series right now. I needed it literally the second I finished this one. And I didn't actually realise that this was going to be a series until I was getting probably like 2/3 through the book, and I'm thinking, I don't see how we're going to wrap up everything in this one book. And the closer I got to the end, the more I was thinking, this is not going to work. Like, something is going to be left unravelled. I don't know. But it turns out that was the entire point, because there is a second book. I don't know whether it's just going to be 2 books or whether there's going to be more. But I love this book with my whole heart and soul, and I'm so glad I read it. It is a little bit out of my comfort zone, but when I was reading it, I devoured especially the last sort of like half. Like, when I would read it, I would pick it up and I would read a decent chunk of the book at a time. There was never a time where I picked it up and only read like 1 or 2 pages, unless it was because I physically couldn't read anymore. Like I said earlier on in the video, I think one reason why it took me longer to get through this book is because of circumstances outside to the actual book itself. I was thinking about this book a lot and I was wanting to read it a lot. I just wasn't particularly wanting to read, if that makes sense. But it was not personal to this book at all. And I literally, anytime I think about it, I get so happy and so like antsy, because I need the second book now and it doesn't come out until November, which is crazy. November. Even though this came out like, I think it came out in, I know the Fairy Loot edition came out in August of 2025. So there's not like what I would consider a genuinely very big gap between the first book and the second book. So yeah, I absolutely loved this book. I rated it 6 stars would be my actual rating if I could. I cannot wait for the second book in the series, and I hope Fairy Loot do their own edition of the second book as they've done with this book, because I'll put the cover of like the traditionally published version here. I don't know if that's like the right term, but like the book, if you went to the shop to buy it, it would not have this cover, but this cover is my pride and joy. It brings me so much happiness looking at it. I enjoyed all of the books, but this is definitely my favourite that I've read in this video, and it's honestly my favourite book that I've read this year, and will probably be one of my top, I imagine, top 3 or 5 for the whole year by the time we get to the end of the year. So yeah, it was very good, and I don't know how I'm gonna wait till the end of the year basically to get my hands on the next copy, well, the next book. And I don't know if Fairy Loot would do their own edition of it. I really hope they do, because it would be really nice to have matching editions of this series. So yeah, and I can't imagine like how beautiful it would be. So yeah, I am gonna leave this there. I'm gonna leave it here because I don't want to repeat myself, but literally anytime I think about or talk about this book, I get so excited. I think at some point I'm gonna have to reread it, because I just had that good of a time, and there's loads of books I've read that I want to reread, but I don't reread books very often. So the fact that I want to reread it already, it is actually April when I'm filming this bit, so yeah, I think I finished reading that in February, I think it was. So the fact that I want to reread it again already, it's just proof that it is a 5-star. I've read this author's like YA contemporary romances, which I really enjoyed, and there's some of the books that actually got me back into reading when I was like 14, 15. So I really do like this author. I will leave it there. I'm gonna stop rambling, and I will see you guys in a couple weeks. Bye.